Right, so I want to do a bit of work on my Jazzmaster today. Over time, the action and the truss rod has sort of gone out of sync. I need to put a bit more relief in the neck and mess around with the action. Intonation's pretty good on this, so I'm going to do that. New strings. I'm going to go for some 9-gauge strings. I just fancy a change. I want something a bit more slinky sounding, just to get a bit more of a jangle on this. So I'm going to take the strings off, clean the fingerboard, set it all up, and while I've got it all off, straight out of the factory, this has got sharp frets. Not overly bad, but there's quite a few, especially on this side of on the neck. There's an easy trick, and it's a sponge sanding block. I know there's other ways of doing this, but yeah, I always find this is just a quick, easy fix. And if you're really careful, you know, you can get a good finish on it, and it sort of rounds off the edges of the fingerboard where they're squared off, so you get more of a high-end guitar feel. It improves the playability, just feels nicer to play, and it's really simple. So I'm going to start off removing the old strings, and then we'll take it from there. Right, so strings are off, just giving it a quick wipe down just to get some of the crud off. Next I will be sanding down the edges of the neck, but make sure, because obviously you're going to be sanding down the edges of the frets, there's going to be little metal filings, so just make sure you cover your pickups up with a bit of tape or whatever you got to hand, just to stop the little filings sticking to your pickups. And I may also, because it's pretty close to the edge of the body in the pick guard, I'm just going to cover up around the edge of there as well. And I've got the worst sticking masking tape going. This stuff don't stick very well, but it'll do. Yeah, just enough so you don't, you know, scratch the paintwork. That'll be fine. Okay, so sponge sanding block. As you can see, I've done this quite a few times in the past. So what I generally do is just go at sort of a 45-degree angle, you know, the way the frets sort of angle off, and just sort of lightly go up and down. And you can feel straight away there's, you know, a bit of resistance there. So don't go too mad. Just sort of go a little bit at a time, just feel where the rough parts are, just till it gets a bit smoother. So you can hear it just up that end. That's feeling better already. Straight away, that's a lot smoother. And this side up here, these, I know I won't get to these because the body's in the way, but I'd rather it all be smoothed off. So this can improve the feel and the playability of any sort of cheap budget guitar. You don't need to spend a lot of money on expensive tools, or, you know, there is ways to make it better, you know, get luthiers to crown the frets properly and whatever, but for a cheap, easy fix, and it really does make it feel a lot better. So yeah, these are a good, cheap alternative, just to give you a nice feel to the guitar. That straight away feels so much smoother. You can pick these up at any hardware store, couple of pound, couple of bucks, whereabouts you are in the world. And again, just make sure you get that 45-degree angle. But you can hear straight away it gets a lot smoother. Just make sure you keep that angle. Don't push down too hard, just let it go with the guitar neck, and it soon smooths out. So it gets rid of all them sharp frets and rounds off the edge of the fingerboard, just to give you a better feel. I generally do this on most of the guitars I get. But I've not done it on this one for some reason. Yeah, straight away, so much smoother. Just a little bit more on that side. You can sort of taper a little bit more round to the neck if you want. Just to give you that higher end feel. Yeah, much better. Much better. Just go over that a little bit more. Right, let's wipe that down. And again, make sure you cover your pickup so you don't get all the metal filings on there and just round sort of the paintwork. But that's definitely much better, much more rounded off, more polished, just so much smoother. So I have a lot of cheap budget guitars, especially the really cheap ones. I've had a few where the edges of the frets are like razor blades, so just give it a quick going over with a cheap sponge sanding block and you just get a much better feel to them. What I'll do now is just give the fingerboard a quick going over, some lemon oil. Just make sure you get all the metal filings off. Before I'll put the strings on, I'll give this a good wipe over. Just again, be careful because you can have metal filings, not to scratch your paintwork and the finish to your neck and fingerboard. And if you have any frets that are quite scratchy when they're new, a lot of cheap guitars, you know, they ain't smoothed off very well. What you could do is mask in between the frets, or use electrical tape or anything like that, and just make sure the frets are exposed, cover all the sides up, and then you can go over the frets again with that, just lightly go over it. You can even put a bit of marker pen just over the frets, and then just sort of sand them off as you go along, just smooth them off, nice straight lines, and till the sort of the marker pen's gone, and that, again, that'll smooth off them frets. But these are pretty smooth as it is, so I won't bother with that today. I'll just let this soak in for a little bit. Okay, let's wipe that off. Okay, so I'm just going to take all this tape off, give it a good wipe down, and then we'll put the strings back on. Okay, so it's all cleaned up now, feeling a lot smoother, no sharp frets at all now. The fingerboard just nicely rounded off. So I'm going to put a set of 9-gauge Fender strings on. I normally use 10s, but just for this I want something a little bit more slinkier, just to get a bit more of a, you know, low tension jangly sound, because the pickups on these are quite rich compared to standard Jazzmaster pickups. So I just want to emulate a bit more of that Jazzmastery jangly sound. So yeah, I'm going to fit these on now. I'll just show you, because these are the vintage style tuners. I know I've showed it a million times in videos before, but just for any newbies watching, these are really easy to fit. Vintage tuners are my favourite. I know people go for locking tuners, but these do lock into place, so I find them really easy. So what I do is pull the string right through, and I'll measure about 2 tuner poles above where I want to go. So obviously I'm going into that one, so I measured 2 up, snip it right there, and then put the string into the shaft of the tuner, fold it down, bend it round, and then pull it tight, hold it into place, and then just tighten it up. Lift this up a little bit. Make sure you got it. That's bridge saddle, which I haven't got. There you go, simple as that. So I'm just going to do the rest of these and I'll be back. Okay, so the strings are back on. Tuned it up to pitch, and I made sure I gave the strings a good stretch. It's very important because a lot of people don't do this, and then they wonder later down the line why their guitar keeps going out of tune, or you know, it just doesn't sound right. Yeah, make sure you always give them a good stretch. Don't be shy, give them a good tug. I generally give it a bit of a push either side of the bridge and the nut as well. And just be careful when you're doing the thinner strings, as they have a tendency to break a bit easier. This is tuned back up to pitch. I put the capo on the 1st fret because I want to sort out the action and the truss rod and what have you. So yeah, cap on the 1st fret, and then I'm going to measure the relief in the neck. So what I generally do is capo 1st fret, and the 1st fret that meets the body, I hold that down. Then about the 8th fret, I'll give it a measure just to see what measurement we got, and we're at about 0.15 mil, and I want to be at 0.3. So I just need to give it a bit of a turn, give the truss rod a bit of a turn, and then see where we go from there. So I'm just going to take this off now. I'll just move these strings out of the way, and then give it a turn and see how we go. So I've given it about 3/4 of a turn. Just going to get that capo back on. So I reckon we're at about, yep, 0.3 mil. That is where I want to be, so I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to tune it back up to pitch, and then we'll work on the action from the tunematic bridge. Okay, so back up to pitch now. The action on this, I'm guessing by the way it adjusted, is quite high now. So I'm at about 2.25 on the low E and about 1.75 on a high E, so I need to drop that down a little bit. So you always measure from the 12th fret, and on a tunematic bridge you've got a just a little flat screw either side, and you turn it clockwise, anti-clockwise, depending on what way you want to move it out. So I'm just going to drop this down a little bit. So I want to be about 1.75 on the low E, 1.75, and on the high E I want to be about 1.25. So we're about there. I will also check this again once I've got the guitar upright, because you know there is variables with the pressure being applied to the neck and what have you. But yeah, I'll fine tune it. For now it's just sort of getting me to where I want to be, so I'm just going to tune this back up to pitch. This is a 9.5 inch radius fingerboard, and these are fitted with a tunematic bridge, so your high and the low E are always going to be pretty high compared to the other strings because of the radius of the fingerboard and the flatness of the bridge. So they're not the ideal setup to get a perfect radius, but yeah, as long as it plays how I like, I'm happy. Right, so next I'm just going to tweak the intonation. So you open string E, and then you get your octave on the 12th. And you need to get them both in tune with each other. So at the minute that's a little bit sharp. high is too sharp, so I need to back that off a little bit. What you do is you get, what's it on this one, flat screws, so you get screwdriver, again clockwise, anti-clockwise on the adjustment saddle screws to compensate where to get it in tune. So I'm just going to go for all these and then I'll be back. Right, so we're all back up to pitch. Again, once I get the guitar on my lap, I'll just double check all the measurements. So I've set the neck, sanded off the frets, cleaned the fingerboard, set the relief in the neck, set the action, set the intonation. One thing that I've never really mentioned in videos before is pickup height. So what I do is I hold down the last fret on the low E side, and then I measure from the top of the pole piece to the bottom of the string. Now both pickups I generally measure around 2.4 mil, so you know, adjust them accordingly. And then on the high E side I press down the string and then I measure about 1.6 mil between the top of the pole piece and the string, so adjust them both accordingly. But that's how I generally set up a Jazzmaster pickup. If you go onto Fender's website and put in Fender setup guide, they generally have all the specs on there for particular guitars. So yeah, that's how I set up my pickup. So what I'm going to do now is quickly just make sure my measurements are alright, and then we'll plug her in and see what these new strings sound like. There you go. Set up the Jazzmaster, smooth down them fret ends, rounded off the edge of the fingerboard a bit, and yeah, definitely playing a lot better, a lot smoother. I'm preferring these 9-gauge strings. They're a lot more slinky, better for the bends. You know, stops your fingers fatiguing as quick. Definitely sounds a lot more slinky compared to having 10s on. Setup wise, it's perfect now. To how it was before. Nice bit of relief in the neck, good action. Yeah, really nice. So, hope you enjoyed that video. Remember, all you need is a little cheap sponge sanding block and you can get nice smooth fret ends and make the guitar feel and play a lot better. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please give us a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you stay up to date on all the latest videos. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, the Meat Manifesto. James is running that now, so head over to there, give the page a like, and keep an eye out for loads of new content on there. And follow me Instagram, the Meat Manifesto. That's where I upload all my pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day. Peace.